Hey, so just because it's been a little real this week, I really don't feel like being on camera like that. Not in the mood. But I still wanted to post something encouraging and uplifting. I partially got fussed at for y'all um, because I was told to like post some stuff for the last few days. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm good. And then I started scrolling through the feed and I was told, that's why we asked you to post. That's why we asked you to post, right? So I got in trouble because Spirit loves you and I'm hard headed. Merry Christmas. All right, look, surrender. You saw that. Can't make this stuff up, right? I was told. What did I just say? You're safe. I can tell this is going to be beautiful. Is that 5? I heard one more. Look at that. So it looks like lots of concerns about like safety or like needs being met. Okay. So I'm going to do a 5-card spread. I have not done this like this, I don't think. Usually I kind of just like go with the flow, or like I'll already have the spread out, or I'll share my spread for those who are in sync. And I don't know, I just really want to have a nice personal issue came out in reverse. Like I just want to have, okay, it did come out in reverse, but what we're gonna do, there's someone that has like a few changes that need to be made, or like you have trouble believing. So we're only gonna do uprights tonight, okay? All right. All right, Spirit loves you. I heard Mommy loves you. Dance for Life came out in reverse. That tells me that someone needs to get some movement in their life or have some fun. They're unintentionally repeating cycles. So again, I'm just talking as I naturally pull. Priestess came up right. So just talking as I naturally pull, but I will be. You're gonna see my junkie desk. Merry Christmas. No, I'm kidding. But even though we're pulling this way, I'm still gonna only read reverse, but I do want to talk about it like just a nice, relaxed thing, right? As the light, my salt lamp turns green, just nice and relaxed. It's time to step out of your comfort zone. I had heard you've been making safe choices out of fear. We have trouble believing the answers are coming. For some people, answers aren't coming. You are the answers, right? Oh, we're afraid of change. We're afraid to make steps because we are afraid of how things will go. Warrior Woman came up right. I heard you've been training for this for lifetimes. Check in with your ancestors, spirit team, spirit guides. Romantic cycle. I heard you've been holding on to some things like fear and hate because the new romantic cycle came out in reverse. So we're not imbalanced, right? If you're like me, you might be like trying to build the courage to call in love, and because you naturally want it, there's this thing where you want it but you don't want to intentionally call it in. However, spirit knows you and you are doing things where you're calling it in anyway. We got this. Akasha, your guidance is divinely guided. So it's knowing that the higher realms, the other realms, the spiritual realms, right? Like they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. We are one consciousness, right? We are one. We're literally one unit. And so your peeps, our peeps, have been here so many different generations and lifetimes, right? Like before man existed, technically, right? Because everything existed and nothing existed at the same time. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. This one was stubborn, so we're gonna pull it. Travel came out in reverse. I am gonna flip it. Saw clarity pop up. Ooh, all right, they tossed these at me. They haven't tossed cards at me in a minute, so I think we're all happy that I'm here. Compassion and forgiveness. Compassion and forgiveness. So I'm just going to read this one. So this is the only affirmation card that came in reverse. So it says travel. Let every aspect of this trip unfold in harmony. May divine order arrange and handle every detail. I'll be guided easily and follow the leads as they are shown. So one thing here, like the spirit is showing me, people, the world, right? There's these like huge contrasts, right? Where people will say, oh, you need to manifest, you need to take control, you need to manifest, you got to do this. And then there's other people that's like, you need to completely surrender, just give it all, just surrender, right? When actually there's balance in all things in her duality, right? So the truth is somewhere in the middle, and sometimes on the opposite extremes, depending on where you are in your life and exactly what you're trying to call in. So for example, not dancing with life. If you are so busy trying to manifest and create, or you are so busy trying to surrender and not make a move, and you're not living your life, you're not enjoying just the present, right? Then either way, you are messing with what you're trying to do. Does that make sense? And it's affecting like you stepping out of your comfort zone. I heard hardship, like it's creating extra hardship when really you can embrace what you have and who you are now. You don't have to pick yourself apart. I post that quite a bit on like my TikTok page. But it's just have flow, like have flow. If you look, well, I'll include like I keep hearing no. I'll include a picture at the end where you can see, but like if you notice here, you have a lot of air and water. A lot of air and water. So I'm an Aquarius, right? Air and water. But this kind of speaks to, what do you really need? Spirit started singing bare necessities. But like, what do you really need? Even when we talk about love, are you fighting so hard and just trying to cling to attracting or gaining love that you are forgetting how to love yourself? Are you operating from with a place of balance where not only are you giving love or showing love, but you are receiving love, right? There's a boundaries book that I recommend to my therapy clients, and I had one client today mention like, wow, like it talks about how you can be, we talk about codependence, right? But we don't talk about like the counter dependence where you're like, nope, I got it, I don't need nothing because everybody lets me down, I'm the only one that can do it right. But then you are wearing yourself thin or stretching yourself thin, trying to take care of everyone else, right? Or you have people that you have forgiven for big stuff, but you are having trouble with forgiving yourself, right? You are holding on to this, nope, I should have made this different choice, I made this wrong choice. And it's so funny as I say that, forgiveness was one of the cards, right? Forgiveness, healing comes from acceptance. Help me, dear Lord, to fully accept what is, knowing that this alone will open me to new, right? Time for healing. Compassion. It says, as you pray each day for greater compassion, a new self is born, drawing new people and experiences. Dear Lord, help me feel ever deepening self-acceptance. May I see myself as you see me. Now, I've posted about this on TikTok. I don't think I've posted about this on YouTube, but like, one of the ways that I initiated working on my self-esteem, because I used to call myself a tyrant. I still kind of do out of joking, right? But I used to call myself a tyrant because if you only knew where I've been, even then, I wasn't the monster that I would make myself out to be. I know that now that was a self-defense thing, right? Like a coping mechanism. If I just say that I'm a problem, then I don't have to worry about other people making me feel like I'm a problem or calling me a problem. So we're just going to all collectively agree that I'm a problem. And the problem is, most people who saw my true self, or they were operating out of their authenticity, they became uncomfortable because they're like, Z, what do you mean? Like, you're not a problem. Like, you do da 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 da, right? And I was like, all right. So I ended up praying a prayer, because at the time I was Christian. And I was like, hey, God, like, what up? I need help. Show me the way you see me. And I even recently did something similar where I was like, Spirit, show me my power. Like, show me everything that we can do together and what I can do separate. Does that make sense? So sometimes Spirit will chime in on some stuff, and then sometimes they'll be super quiet, where it gives me a chance to see, even though I give credit to the universes at almost all times, right? Because I technically wouldn't even be able to have any power if it wasn't for the sun shining and that freezes me to death, right? If it wasn't for the moon, if it wasn't for gravity itself, if it wasn't for Father Time still being on my side and in my favor, if it wasn't still, oxygen that I can breathe thanks to the trees, if it wasn't still for me having access to water, because I cannot imagine living somewhere and I gotta walk miles to get water. I am a brat, right? Like, there's so much privilege and abundance around us and in us that we don't always recognize or tap into. And I try to be very intentional, where sometimes I'll even look up, thank you sun, like, thank you sun for shining. Or I'll notice the moon is in the window right when I'm like the most stressed out trying to get a project completed, and I'm like, okay, and then I'll instantly like feel calm or energized or whatever I need in that moment. We literally have everything that we need, is the point. It's hard believing that because we are so trained and brainwashed to believe that you need to hit this milestone to be wealthy. You need to hit this milestone to be a great person. You need to hit this milestone to be perfect. There's no way you can forgive that person that did those terrible things. You should hold on to it and seek revenge. Or how dare you fight for yourself, when you should just understand where that person is coming from. And it's like, no, you don't have to live under this programming. You really, genuinely, and truly can decide for yourself what you want your life to look like, and you are worth celebrating right in this moment. Like, the fact that you got out of bed, even if you didn't take a shower, even if you didn't get dressed, even if your hair is a mess, you got out the bed, you're worth celebrating. You might be on the opposite end where you're always working and you felt guilty for sleeping in. Celebrate yourself for sleeping in. You chose yourself, because if you wear yourself thin, right? Look at this again with the compassion. It talks about greater compassion and drawing new people and experiences. But what happens at the end? Self-acceptance. Feeling self-acceptance. You want the people that you call in. I'm not going to say what you want. I'm going to say what I want, right? I want the people that I call in, romantic, business, friends, whatever, to mirror my most positive traits, right? And to do that, that means that when I look in the mirror, I have to have a level of self-acceptance, because the people in our lives are mirrors, whether we like to admit it or not, right? Sometimes, so like the Akasha, I do Akasha Records readings. I just started, and one thing that happened was a person was internalizing so much frustration and so much guilt, and they had so much trouble believing in their worth and believing in who they were and believing in celebrating themselves. When we did the Akasha, we realized like this person wasn't able to like break free from that until she realized that how she was treated by certain individuals in her life had nothing to do with her. It had everything to do with them, right? And so through seeing that she is not the problem, kind of going back to what I said, it helped her practice genuine, authentic self-acceptance. But she had to have a level of compassion for the people that hurt her to even be open to that. Like, Spirit wouldn't have even let us go there if she did not have some level of compassion for them, because you'll be just a brick wall, right? A brick wall. So getting back to the spread, although that pretty much summarizes it. Like, when you go down this row, right? When you go down this row here, you can see like, take the chance, take the steps, take the chance, take the steps, trust your judgment, trust your wisdom, but also trust the divine to handle everything. Put out there what you want, take the steps, make the mistakes, because through the mistakes you make successes. And as you practice self-acceptance, you'll realize they weren't mistakes anyway. It's interesting that when we talk about mistakes, there's really no such thing as a mistake. We just don't like the consequences of that choice. We are offered a series of choices. Going back to that Akasha, right? We are offered a series of choices, and a lot of times we only genuinely call it a mistake when it does not work out the way that we intended or it works against us. But if you practice operating from a space of being neutral, with big choices that, like, let's just say have long-term effects, or even short-term, it makes it easier to see a bigger picture, and it makes it easier to practice self-acceptance, right? So that's that not letting the past hold you back, believing that you're good enough, dancing with life, stepping out your comfort zone. Through these things alone, some of you are automatically breaking ancestral curses or toxic ancestral patterns because they either did not have the chance to celebrate themselves, or they did not believe that they were worth celebrating because generations before them made them feel small, right? And so it's so important, like, I'm going to say, live your life not only for yourself, but live your life for your ancestors. And when I say ancestors, I am always speaking towards past, present, and future ancestors, right? Because everything is a big, like, infinity loop, so to speak, right? It's kind of like life is like a straight line and a circle at the same time. And what happens with a circle when you stretch it thin enough? It becomes a straight line. There's no end, there's no beginning, right? Anyway, over here, we got the warrior person. So when you look here, look at how beautiful that is. In the center of your pyramid, trust and believe that answers are coming. That card is also a full moon in Gemini. Geminis are big communicators, right? There's also like that seeing both sides or both faces, or the light and the dark, the balance, right? Geminis can be the most happy-go-lucky, goofy, but they can also be the very like heavy and dense, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Also, when we talk about full moons, that's that manifestation or releasing, or illumination. So you might have even been kind of in the same wave as me, where I recently did manifestation work, but it was also releasing at the same time, right? So I was intentional in releasing the things that were blocking or hindering the things that I was calling in, not only for myself, but also for my ancestors. Does that make sense? If you ever need support, like, you can message, or you can message me or whatever, or I'll try to respond in comments, but you literally got this. Okay, so again, trust that you are divinely guided. Operate from a space of compassion, because people are very stressed out right now. There's a lot of shifty, shaky energy happening. I don't really like to say light versus dark, or evil, or not evil. Light versus dark, or like negative and positive, because for one person's evil, that's another person's blessing. Does that make sense? Hear me. For one person's like negative or evil, that's another person's blessing. So, for example, one person can hit the lottery, and not only do they change their life, they create generational wealth and they build their community. For another person who hits the lottery, if they have poor boundaries, if they weren't already taking care of themselves, if their values are tangible, if their values are attached to tangibles only, and there's nothing internal or non-tangible that they value, then it can cause them, depression, death. It can, strain relationships, things like that. It's no different with love, money, like, it's all energy, right? We can even say time. For one person, and this is from experience before I was driving, right? Like, sometimes I would be so grateful that bus was 5 minutes late. Thank you, God, this bus is 5 minutes late. I'm going to make it to work on time, or I'm going to make it to school on time. But there can be another person that hops on that bus, or even me another day where I hop on a bus that 5 minutes late, made me miss another bus, and now I'm stuck, waiting for an extra hour and I'm late or it's cold, right? So be patient and just try to practice being from a neutral space and understanding that there is a higher wisdom way beyond us, and do not be afraid to tap in that wisdom. Sometimes the truth isn't always comfortable, right? Which, as we get here, right? Personal issue reaches a resolution. Priestess, who are you being called to step up and lead? I'm sorry, how are you being called to step up and lead, right? Laying foundations, divine plan. Nothing is set in stone. Take a break. Take time for healing, right? So we may not always like the truth or how things unfold, but that's where you practice forgiveness and self-compassion and self-love unconditionally. Did you fill out that job application perfectly? No, right? But you still took that chance. Did you succeed in that business venture? No. But what did you learn along the way? And do you have the capacity to keep believing even when things don't go your way? For example, there's a lot of people talking about, financial breakdown and all these things that are happening. Well, this was predicted by a lot of astrologers, astrologists, and psychics for years. However, you have a choice. You can learn what you need to learn and still operate from a place of abundance, or you can give into the fear and the panic and the worry, where these things are feeding these things are feeding off of you, and you're not prepared for whatever comes. That doesn't mean that just because you operate from abundance, you won't experience hardship. Not at all. But it increases your chance of being resilient when things don't go the way that you plan. And I don't think you would have come across this video if you did not have a certain level of resilience. Does that make sense? But yeah, you are absolutely amazing. You're amazing. Take a break, take a pause. There's not much that's guaranteed in life, but keep believing anyway. Every step that you take creates a chance for balance and restoration, right? You have a chance to love yourself differently. You have a chance to look at yourself differently. You are guided, even when your guidance is quiet. Practice that self-acceptance. Practice that forgiveness, not only forgiving yourself, but others. Because there's a whole different side that you may not even be seeing. A 222, as I say that, right? Just like here, trust that you are a leader and that you have the power to create change. You are the magic. The tools are just tools. If everything faded away, would you be confident in your magic or your manifestation if you had nothing? Right? I forgot what movie it was, but not too long ago, I was watching a movie, and it was the Gargoyles. It was the Gargoyles. I love the Gargoyles. Anyway, the wizard lost his book and he could not perform a spell because he did not have his book. It was stolen or taken or destroyed. Are you going to be that wizard or witch or, whoever, right? Are you going to be that manifester that is stuck and lost when you don't have these tools? Or are you still going to believe in your power and your access to infinite power no matter what is stripped away? Because you the bomb. It says it right here, right? The warrior came up right next to laying foundations, divine plan, seed in the light. No matter what happens around you, no matter what is taken away from you, you are resilient and you are a creator. You are a part of infinite oneness. Have a good night.